Welcome to the Vintage Kitchen. This week I'm going to continue with custard desserts because I like them. I'm going to make a baked custard this week called Vienna Pudding. It's also known as Vienna noodle pudding and vermicelli pudding. I think I've just given away one of the ingredients there. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to make it.
A boy was walking his bumblebee, he tied it to a string. The sky was lit up with violet light. A bird began to sing a song of sixpence.
You'll need 2.5 US cups of milk, that's 600 mils, 2 teaspoons of lemon essence, half a US cup of sugar. For my metric viewers, that's just a bit less than half a cup of sugar, 115 grams or 4 ounces of vermicelli noodles or pasta, whatever you'd like to call it. That's the wheat pasta as well, not the rice one. You'll need 2 eggs, and optional is a tablespoon of thick cream. I've made it without the thick cream, it's great. It could only be better with it, of course. Before you start, preheat your oven to 180 degrees Celsius. That's around about 355 degrees Fahrenheit. In a double boiler, boil your milk with the lemon essence. Crush the vermicelli and add that. If you don't want the texture of the noodles in your finished pudding, you can reduce it to a powder in a blender. I was going to do that, but my blender's not working. So you get to see what it originally would have looked like. Stir that over the heat until the noodles are completely cooked. If you're going to powder the pasta in your blender, you can use any wheat pasta. I did originally think that this might have been made with rice vermicelli, but I found a description in a book called Science in the Kitchen from 1893 that definitely says that it uses wheat vermicelli. I have no idea when rice vermicelli was first available. I'll have to look that up. So this is going to take a while, so with the magic of video, I'm going to come back and show you what that looks like when it's cooked. This isn't cooked yet, but you can see that it's really starting to get thick and creamy. I'm using low-fat milk, and this is really getting creamy, even though it has no actual cream in the milk, or very little. You need to keep stirring this. You want the starch to come out of the pasta into the milk, and you don't want it to stick together. Now that vermicelli is cooked all the way through, and this is really, really thick. So now I'm going to take that off the heat and let it cool down a little bit. I've let this cool down a little bit, and I'm going to add the sugar. Give it a good stir. You can see this is looking really thick, just like custard. Stir in the eggs and give them a really, really good stir, really quickly. Now I'm going to pour this in the baking dish and cook it in the oven until it's brown on top and set. There's no real time that I can give you. Just check it every 10 minutes or so. And you'll know when it's ready. It'll be firm when you touch it. I'll show you what it looks like when it comes out of the oven. And it'll be set, completely set. I'm going to serve this up straight out of the dish that I'm cooking it in, so I'm not going to bother about buttering it or anything. You can also cook this with a crust if you want to. I'll give you a link to a great recipe by the One Pot Chef. He does a crust with plain biscuits and butter. So I'll give you a link to that in the notes so you can find out how he does that. And now mine's going into the oven. Here's my pudding fresh out of the oven. You can see it's a little bit brown on top, just very, very slightly. And if you touch it in the middle, it's firm. It's firm as a boiled egg. If you're worried about it browning around the edge, like you can just see that it has here, you can cook it in a bain-marie in the oven. What that means is that you put the whole bowl in a tray with water up to the same level as the pudding, and that will stop it browning around the edges. So I'm going to dish this up and show you what it looks like inside, and then I'm going to give my family their dessert. I'm going to serve this up to everyone with some vanilla ice cream. I'm just going to hold this spoon a bit closer to the camera so you can see the texture. You can see the pasta in there a bit. The smaller you break it up, the less obvious it will be. The first time I made this, I left it almost intact, which is great for Halloween because it looks a bit like worms, kind of gross. So break it up quite a bit. The more you break it up, the quicker it cooks as well. If you do grind the vermicelli into a powder, it will cook really quickly, so keep an eye on that. It has a lovely subtle lemon custard flavour. You don't get any pasta flavour in there at all. Because the pasta is cooked in milk, it becomes very thick, very dessert-like. So don't worry about thoughts of eating spaghetti in your dessert. Give it a try and let me know what you think.
Hey cat with a fiddle, could you play me a sad